Rad, I think you got that a little backwards, but nice try. Well done. You get a participation trophy. You are welcome. How are you doing today, buddy? Hope you had a good Thursday. You're okay? Yeah, that's how I've been probably most of this week, just trying to get through the week. Mostly okay? Hi, hello, welcome in. Thank you for the raid.
I like this one.
I get to see some of the alerts and stuff I set up a while back, but hey, hi, how's it going? Welcome in, Raiders. Yunsu, how was stream? How was the writing? I had to drive home and all that stuff, but hopefully you got some progress. Uh, what am I missing? Mariners, hi, hello, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. And then, sorry if I butcher anyone's name. If you want to go by something else, let me know. I'm guessing that's Asu Kitsune. Hi, hello. And written by Liv.
I
Hi,
like this
hello.
one.
Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Stream was great. We did about 40-ish solid minutes of writing in which I described a tunnel. Yeah. Sometimes you just have days like that where it's just like, you. Oh my god. Mariners, you'll get along well with Rad. He likes the dad jokes too. You could say you had tunnel vision. Yeah, we have a dad joke command as well for Rad because he likes making his dad jokes in here. Oh, you're here for the chaos? Um, yeah, we have some chaos, especially when Rad's here. No, this is great. Thank you again for the raid. Yeah, Rad's an innocent bystander in all this. He never causes any chaos or gets us off track or anything like that, ever. I don't know if he looks innocent from where you're standing. Never, ever. Yeah, Rad didn't bring up that. Um, aren't you sitting? Shut up, Mom. Rad, wasn't it you that brought up that a particular animal has cube-shaped poops? That's a type of capybaras. Might have been. Yeah. That wasn't you? Oh, okay. Major said it, you just kept the bit going for way too long. That tracks. Major is my mod, my bestie. She's the best. Uh, oh, it was wombats. Yeah. It might also be capybaras, but yeah, I think it was brought up in the context of wombats. The main thing you rant about are RBMK reactors. I don't even know what those are, but I believe you. Yeah, we had I had an issue with one of my stream alerts, and it says a phrase from a movie, and Rad just kept posting that phrase throughout the rest of chat. So, yeah, he likes keeping bits going for way longer than they need to be. Chernobyl was an RBMK reactor. Okay. Did you watch the Chernobyl miniseries on HBO from a couple years back? Um, can confirm my local Walmart's two cubes. Good to know. Red Bull making keyboards. Sure, that's what RBMK can stand for. Some would argue not long enough. Yes, you might argue that, Rad. Do keyboards give you wings? Not that I've found before. They're kind of small. Maybe if you had multiple keyboards, you could make wings out of them. Mariner says absolutely. I've watched anything and everything Chernobyl related. Okay, including the horror movie spin-off. Oh my. Yeah, Rad, you get one for that. Keyboards give you wingdings. Including damn near every YouTube video ever made. Okay. Yeah, obviously I knew about Chernobyl kind of broadly, just as a historical event, but I've never watched a lot about that. But I thought the HBO miniseries did a very good job of explaining a lot of things um, around Chernobyl, so I thought it was really well done. Gives a whole new meaning to reaction channel. Oh, yeah, reaction, because it's a reactor. Well done. Uh, okay. We're gonna start off our stream like you start off your stream, but we just do one puzzle to start off. I do have channel point redeems for more puzzles, but we only do one to start off. And that's our Star Wars. So this is a fill in the blank puzzle. There will be horizontal clues, and we have to figure out the actor based on either the movie, the role, the quote, or when they might have won an Academy Award. And then vertically, there will be one line that we have to fill out to find one particular actor's name. It might sound complicated, but don't worry, we get this. Is this daily? Yes, this is daily. This is not going to go well on my end. It's okay. I can carry us through some of it, but every once in a while we'll come up against something that I'm not able to do. And we got a 10-minute timer on this, so let's do this. Alright, so you can see the red highlighted vertically. That's one actor's name that we need to figure out based after we fill in the horizontal ones. So this one's giving us a movie. We're looking for an actor that was in The Theory of Everything. Katherine Heigl. No. I believe this is going to be Felicity Jones. She played Stephen Hawking's first wife in that. The the up and down one. Don't tell me no. It starts with an E, so I'm guessing no. It's more likely going to be like Evangeline Lilly. Oscar winner from 1973. We usually skip these and come back to them. Boys in the Hood, 1991. One of the clues, biggest ego and clearly on juice. It's clearly the rock. Yeah. Um, so bad with names. It's okay. I'm actually not sure with this one. Because I think... I don't think I've ever seen this, but I know, or I'm pretty sure Cuba Gooding Jr. was in it, and maybe Ice Cube, but neither of those kind of fit this. So we will go to the next one. Avatar from 2009. Sarah, the actor, you know, the one in the movie with people who play the husband. Yeah, people always say that to me, and I'm able to tell them the answer. Believes Zoe Saldana. So I'm guessing the first name is actually like Elizabeth. Guy in the Lawrence Fishburne. What? If he was in Boys in the Hood, but the number of letters in the last name doesn't quite fit. Were they in Home Alone? Were they in Harry Potter? If not, okay, I'll keep that in mind if we get one of those two. Atonement. We have. Oh, I think this is. I don't think that's how you spell it. Saoirse Ronan. S-A-I-O-R. Nope. S-A. Yeah, something like that. You think it's Regina King for the Boys in the Hood one? Number of letters works. Let's see. S-A... O-O-R... S-I-E. Okay. We don't have to get the horizontal ones perfect. So we can fill that in. Because we're pretty sure this is going to be Elizabeth. Alright. So this one is giving us a character, the Vision. Paul Bettany. Elizabeth Moore? Possibly? I'm guessing it's more likely... No, it's not Elizabeth Moss. Might be Elizabeth Olsen. Shrek. Mike Myers. Nino Panda. I know you're saying that to Yun, but also good night. Thanks for stopping by, coming over with the raid. But it's not, then we're Elizabeth Less. Boo. We're gonna wear out that command tonight, Rad. Not leaving yet, just working on... Okay. If you want to lurk, that's cool. If you gotta go, that's cool. Have fun. Hope you get lots done working on your chapter. Oh, True Romance. It's been so long since I've seen this. I'll come back to that one. Burn After Reading. Patricia Arquette. Yeah. Yep, that fits. Nice. So we think that's going to be an H. So someone in Burn After Reading. Let me think of who is in that. It's obviously not Brad Pitt. The letters don't match. Never seen it. It was an oddball Coen Brothers movie, which is kind of redundant to say, but we're getting low on our timer, so I'm going to move on to the last name ones. The Lion King from 1994. So James Earl Jones. Oh. Is it Matthew Broderick? No, because that would be too many letters. Jeremy Irons played Scar. I don't know off the top of my head. Finding Nemo. So it's not Ellen DeGeneres. Okay, I think it might be Albert Brooks. No. See, I watch, but I have no idea what the answer is. Yeah. Oh, I wonder if it's one of the guys who played Simone and Pumbaa. Well, 42. Well, yeah. Come back to that. Did you say Simone and Pumbaa? Yes? Timon and Pumbaa. Sorry. Heads all over the place right this second. Malcolm X. There we go. We got a Harry Potter's and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And then Thelma and Louise. So that would be Susan Sarandon. Neither of those names fit. Okay. Yeah, we're down to the last couple seconds, so I'm just guessing and... Oh, if I put it in correctly. We got it! We got our 100% success rate going. Struggled there, because I can't think of characters' names correctly, but it's okay. Sometimes a 10-minute time limit is rough when we have a lot of clues. Alright. So 1973 Oscar winner, we had Joel Grey. I don't know who that is. Okay. For Cabaret. Yeah, that makes sense. That won a ton of awards. Best actor in a supporting role. Yeah. Okay. We still spelled Saoirse wrong, but we got it right. Okay, I spelled Bettany wrong, so it's Bettany, not B-E-A. Okay, so the A is at the end, not the beginning. Uh, Good pull on Patricia Arquette. We were able to figure that one out. Okay, John Malkovich for Burn After Reading. Whoopi Goldberg for The Lion King. She played she played one of the hyenas, right? She was in there? Yes, she was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she plays one of the hyenas. For Finding Nemo, we have Allison Janney. Who did she even play? She played Peach? Who the who was Peach? Okay, the starfish. I'm assuming. The starfish Peach. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I always forget about all the animals in the or all the fish in the aquarium. Yeah, I was thinking it was Albert Brooks, but the name obviously wasn't quite right. Let's see, we got Christopher Plummer for Malcolm X. Another one. I He was in that movie. Is this? Yeah, it was Spike Lee. Yeah, like Denzel Washington, Angela Bassett, Delroy Lindo, Spike Lee. He's not even on. It's probably way down the cast list. Wendell Pierce was in it. Need to head out. All right. Yeah, I appreciate you stopping by. Um, yeah, everyone who came over with the raid, I appreciate y'all stopping by, hanging out for a bit, causing a little bit of chaos. It's always appreciated. If y'all need anyone needs to take off, have a good night, and yeah, I'll either see you over in Yon's stream or next time you stop by. Um, and shout out. Thanks again for stopping by, everyone. Yeah, one that I found funny was Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Gus Fring in like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, was in it and as like a teenager, and he's actually the guy in the movie that shoots Malcolm X. Crazy. Yeah, of course. Thanks for the raid, and thanks for stopping by, man. We still haven't gotten to. Because it was Christopher Plummer. He played a chaplain, and he's 5 from the bottom in the cast list. Nelson Mandela was in it? Al Sharpton played a speaker? Okay. So these are probably a lot of the um, what do we call them? Like special guest stars. There's a name for it. I can't think of anything tonight. It's fine. We don't need to think of words when we're trying to like write stuff or anything. We got Rupert Grint for the Harry Potter clue. Obviously Ron Weasley, so. And that was right with Susan Sarandon for Thelma and Louise. So, keeping our streak alive. 14 for 14. 100% success rate. GG's. Alright. Now, we're going to get into the actual writing of stuff, hopefully. So last time, we went through and figured out kind of broadly what the last sequence is going to be. So we have an outline together. So what we're going to do today is go back through the outline and see if there's anything in there we need to flesh out, add, if we need to change anything. We want to get the outline as kind of good shape as we can before we start actually writing stuff. So we're going to take out kind of the header that I had there. And we're just going to drop that way down so we can look at kind of one sequence at a time, go through this, and then move on to the next part. Alright, so we're starting off in colonial America, the Northeast, thinking more specifically upstate New York. And then as far as colonial America, sometime in the 1600s probably. I'm thinking with technology not advancing drastically over that century, that we can be kind of broad enough with 1600s that it's not going to drastically change how it looks. So we're in colonial America, 1600s, upstate New York, late summer, early fall. In a colonial settlement. So this is all of our setting stuff. More for us, but some of this will end up going into the actual screenplay as headers and just general information. So we're going to start off with Margaret at her farm/garden within the colonial settlement, and she's going to use some magic. So one thing I was thinking about is how the magic is going to be cast in this world. And where I think I'm settling on is going to be, there has to be I want to make sure I get the term right, an incantation and probably some type of hand movement. Incantation with an I, not an E. Good to know. Is it? Okay, yeah, a series of words that is a magic spell or charm. So with our incantation, I'm thinking it will the probably the easiest thing to do will just have them use like Latin phrases or like a translation of what they want to do, but in Latin. Um, because some of the characters speak different languages. Well, at least Helene and Margaret, with them speaking English and French, if we look at the history of those languages, they all trace back to Latin. So I feel like that would be, if there were original witches in this universe, they probably would have spoken Latin, so it would make sense that the initial incantations would be in that language. The other incantations I like, I don't know if I've talked about it, but I wrote a Zatanna screenplay set in the old DC movie universe, and all the incantations for Zatanna's magic is just the word backwards. So that was very easy, so I just had to figure out what she wanted to do and then just flip the word around. But if we're doing it in Latin, we'll probably just figure out broadly what she's doing and then put it into Google Translate and figure out something with whatever it gives back to us. Um, so she's at her garden and she uses green magic. What would she be using green magic on? Maybe bringing a dead plant back to life. So I actually want to look up um, what plants were being farmed in colonial America. Okay. So this is talking about 18th century, so that's later than we want. What plants at early... We always end up going to Reddit. Settlers eating native wild plants. But most settlers ate plants that were brought over from Europe. Alright, so if we are to believe this, cabbages, parsnips, carrots, beets, endive. Ta-ta. Okay, so it seems like a mix of they were either continuing to farm what was already here, or they brought seeds with them. Damn, there's a lot. I was hoping to see something like tomatoes, because I like tomatoes, but they might have been brought over later. Alright, so we have Margaret at her farm slash garden using her magic. We have how incantations are going, how magic's going to be presented, and what she's doing. Okay, I already have what I was thinking down here. Margaret hides that she's using magic. She has to pretend like that's not what she's doing. So we have Helene showing up. Tells Margaret to come with her. They go to a lake slash pond short distance from their settlement to be alone because they are in love. Helene goes into the water. Margaret is hesitant. Okay. Okay, so we have Helene go into the water. At this point, she's much more of a free spirit. She's French. Um, and they know there's no one around. But Margaret is still hesitant. kind of looking over her shoulder. So we get some sense that she knows there is some danger out there. At this point, obviously, we don't know what it is, but we know she's aware of something else out there. So Helene tries to convince Margaret to join her. Would Margaret leave? Yeah. It's getting late. Still work to do. Excuses. So Helene exits the water, goes after Margaret, but can't find her. And that's when we have the hunters show up, surround Helene. And then separately, at a distance, we catch up with Margaret. So that might be later. So at a distance, Margaret hears a commotion. Sneaks back to see what's happening. So the hunters accuse Helene of being a witch, take her prisoner. And they're able to see, let's see, they have a way of seeing. So they have a way of seeing Helene's magical aura. But we know it's actually, or we will reveal much, much later, that it was actually Margaret's that rubbed off on her while they were... Never mind. So we'll set up way of seeing her magical aura. Some type of like specialized glass, just something simple that they can use to see. So we set up early on that they're always looking for ways to find witches, because by the end, with technology, they will have continued that progress. So, seeing this play out, comma, Margaret's terrified. Yeah. So at a distance, Margaret sees this play out. She's terrified, thinking the hunters are really after her. Conflicted, she runs away. I also want Helene resists. She kind of resists, but the hunters reveal they have protective wards. So even if she used magic, they'd be able to resist it. So I want to have that, make sure Margaret sees that, because that's going to tie into why she's terrified. Because at this point, we've seen her use magic, we know she's a witch, and she sees the hunters can see magic, or see magical auras, and they're protected from magic. And so Margaret, thinking that they're after her, she runs away. So the hunters return to the settlement with Helene. Yeah, that works. Hunters return to the settlement with Helene, prepare to burn her at the stake for being a witch. People of the settlement question, but don't resist. Beyond that, so at night, Margaret has escaped up to a mountain or ridge that overlooks a settlement. She sees the fire ignite at the center. Yeah. So she sees the fire go up. She obviously assumes that Helene is dying. And then we pick up with her the next morning. She wakes near a pond. Looking into the water surface, she sees her reflection. Margaret. So the next morning, Margaret wakes near a pond, heartbroken. She looks into the water's surface, sees her reflection, disgusted with herself, splashes the water, but when it settles, she sees herself again. She gets the idea to alter her face. And we mainly just hear, because the way I'm thinking about this, like, visually is over the course of this scene and the morning that we will start close to her and slowly pull away. So when she casts a spell to change her face, we'll be at a bit of a distance, but we'll hear like her bone shifting as like her face physically changes and her reaction to it. Okay. So I think we got everything we want in our first sequence. Alright, so we're on to our inciting incident. Alright, just cleaning that up a little bit. Let's see. Alright, we're almost halfway through stream already. Damn, we're all only through our first section. Yeah, I'm gonna step away and take a short break, but I'll put up some word puzzles for anyone who's around, and then we will pick this back up when I get back. Alright, 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, let's get back to it. So, when we catch up with Margaret, so we have this is years later. So when's the next time we have... So when we go through the same stuff from Helene's point of view. So we'll say late 1600s for the first part. So early 1700s. Ohio Valley. Forest. We catch up with Margaret in the wilderness. Her clothes are ragged. She'd been living on her own off land. And she's not using magic. So she's incapacitated somehow, either injured or illness. So I don't think we need to say, like, she specifically has this illness. I think we just say she's pale, cold sweat, and weak. Doesn't have ability to heal herself or won't. Um, and she collapses. Oh, okay, so early 1700, we have this as being warm weather. So we'll say summer. So there's something I want to look up. Witchcraft in North America. Indigenous communities such as Cherokee, Hopi, Navajo, among others, including their folklore and beliefs, malevolent figures who could harm their communities, often resulting in severe... Okay, so medicine people. Sage! Hi, hello. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Um, um, um. Finally got off work and out of the shower. Finally get to relax. Nice. Yeah, it's always a good feeling, like, when you finally get done with everything and you can just... Fiddy, can you believe Sage didn't stream when you raided the other day? Ah, yeah, I know, I know. The audacity. Some audacity for Yep. Even Riki P was there. That's funny. I hope he's called them. Not even gonna try to say that, but it means shit people. You don't know what you would stream? You can stream anything. So it sounds like with a lot of the Native American tribes, they define witchcraft as kind of the negative side of it, whereas the what do they call them? The medicine people are kind of the inverse. The healers, ceremonial leaders, who provide protection against witches and witchcraft. A game? Yeah, yeah. You could stream a game. Maybe Enshrouded? I do not know what that is. Medicine person. So I want to make a note of that. Oh, you were playing at Bo for a bit, but you think you quit? Okay, that's interesting. So, Native American communities define witches as evildoers who harm their own communities. Witches are traditionally seen as criminals in witchcraft, a crime punishable by death. You're not good at playing games by yourself? Fair. Yeah, a lot of games are better when you get to play with other people. We'll save that. So this idea could actually change some stuff, but maybe later. Alright, so she collapses in the woods, she wakes up, medicine person, Margaret wants to leave. She thinks having her there is a danger to the tribe, but she can't leave yet because she needs rest, because she's sick. Alright, then as she's resting, we have Helene approach. Margaret thinks it might be her mind playing tricks on her. She thinks it can't be Helene because she saw her die. I don't know that this will actually come into play because I don't think she'll see her enough to notice like that she's has a different demeanor. Uh, but really, just the key here is she has to see Helene. Yeah, Margaret's unsure if her mind is playing tricks. Actually, don't know if we need to convince Margaret that it actually is Helene. I think she just. Yeah, I think just seeing her will be enough for her to chase down that lead. Right, because, like, if we're 10, 20 years later, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Like, she sees someone she had a relationship with and she thought she saw her die. And seeing her again, like, even if there's a chance, I feel like she would have to go after it. And then I think we can remove that as well. Because like I said, I don't think we're going to communicate that here. So, with what we just read, we can actually change this last part around a little bit. Right? Because one of my initial issues that I thought could arise from here is that if we have the hunters show up again, that it might feel too similar to our initial sequence with them showing up and taking Helene prisoner again. So what we can do... we will say one night as she's resting. So, not next, the next. If I can type the words in the right order that they need to be instead of whatever just happens. Next morning, Margaret is awoken? Woken? Awaken. Awaken with a start. Awakened. I was close. Next morning, Margaret is awakened with a start. Finds... So let's say... tribespeople escorting Helene away. So this is ultimately going to get us to where we need to go with just separating Margaret and Helene away. That's fair. I found a buddy that's willing to help carry me. Oh, you're talking about Enshrouded. Not having to play by yourself. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's always cool when you can find someone who likes playing the same games. So Margaret's still kind of fading in and out, but she sees Helene being escorted away. So then... next time she wakes up, Margaret searches. We'll say try to search. And then we'll get to a point where Margaret finally sets off on her own again. So we're removing the hunters coming for Helene in this scene. I feel like that's a good change. Because when we get to Helene's version of this, we can get more into the Native American views on witches and witchcraft. Because I think that'll be interesting. Alright, then we don't need that stuff anymore. We can put that there. Alright, as days pass, she tries to get information on Helene, but the tribe is unresponsive. And then, once she's rested and healed, she's able to set off again on her own. So now we are... Let's see. Yeah, this is weeks later, so this is still the same era. So we pick up weeks later. Let's bring this up here. Ooh, got a lot of stuff in this section. Looks like we have some questions we need to answer. Alright, so we can just delete that stuff. Alright, so we have Margaret fully rested. She's going to set out, and then we pick up with her weeks later in the Carolinas. She goes to see the seer, Bryn. So, that's actually something I want to look up. Were there taverns in colonial America? Taverns in North America. Of course there's a wiki page on that. Date back to colonial America. Drank very distilled spirits. Especially rum. Uh, Colonies, 1770. Per capita consumption was 3.7 gallons of distilled spirits per year. Benjamin Franklin, of course, printed a drinker's dictionary in his Pennsylvania Gazette in 1737, listing some 228 slang terms used for drunkenness in Philadelphia. Of course he did, because he did everything. Taverns in the colonies were closely followed. Taverns first, mostly known as ordinaries. Constructed throughout most of England. Taverns here, though, serve many purposes such as courtrooms, religious meetings, trading posts, inns, post offices, and convenience stores. In the South were different uses. Alright. Yeah. Okay, so in colonial era, in certain areas, up to 40% of taverns were operated by women, which that's what we're going to have, especially widows. Okay. The more you know. We're going to save that in case we need to look back at it. Okay. Owner of a tavern. Greetings from fabulous Las Vegas. Major! Nice. You're just a couple hour drive away from me. But yeah, hope you're having fun in Las Vegas. Couple hours from Sage too. All right, we're meeting up with Major in Vegas. Yeah, and Sage can fly there. I guess I could get someone to fly me there. Relax in your room before dinner. Nice. Couple hours plus like 20. Janu. Hi, hello, welcome in. How are you doing this evening? Oh, Major, thanks for shouting out Janu. Playing food and drink. Nice. Everyone is welcome. Nice. Story's going good. We got through our first pass of the outline at the end of last stream, so right now I'm just going back through it and trying to clean little things up and make sure that it's all set for when we want to actually start the writing, hopefully soon. Oh, food and drinks is your favorite game, Sage? Yeah. You just got done baking cookies with a friend. Nice. How did they turn out? I assume delicious, 'cause cookies. For sure. I see what you did there. I don't know, I hope they were good. You've had some piss poor attempts at cookies. Yeah. I guess if you overcook them and they get like too hard, that's never great. Alright, so we have Bryn, owner of the tavern. Bryn doesn't recognize Margaret when she comes in. Margaret tells her she saw something impossible. Questions what she saw. Needs to know if it was real. Okay, Sage, how's it sound? You made thick sugar cookies with Valentine's funfetti icing. Ooh. That's one good way to cover up cookies if they didn't come out perfect, is just put tons of icing on them. Sage, you don't like sugar cookies? Oof. My my family does sugar cookies during the holidays, and they always have like all the nieces and nephews and everyone like decorate them. And also, if there are sprinkles, those are Sage. Sage does not speak for the entire community, Janu. I think they sound delightful. Yeah, a good sugar cookie with some icing and just all the sugar on it. See, yeah. Major also loves sugar cookies. I was able to keep mine in my car for 7 years and they barely changed colors and never deteriorated like criminal I preserved staying that time. Where are you getting your sugar cookies from? Yeah, and you need to clean out your car more. Yeah, yeah, I agree with Major. You'll make sage a different kind. How do you fix cookies? More cookies. It was a gift from a soccer banquet. Yeah, I'm guessing someone just like got some store made stuff and it was a deliberate experiment. I think it was an excuse not to clean out your car. Uh, Alright, so yeah, we have kind of the back and forth between Bryn and Margaret. Alright, yeah, I think that should all work. No, they were made by a company customized with my last name and jersey number on them. Corporate cookies? Enough said. Yeah. You don't like the royal icing crap? Oh. I have no words, Sage. royal icing sugar cookies. Come on. Those look. I would eat all of the cookies in this picture right now. On you are cinnamon roll, cream cheese frosting, or the royal icing crap. Oh, the cream cheese frosting is amazing. All yeah, not all frosting. Most frosting, amazing. A plus would recommend. The sprinkles alone are enough to steer me away from those cookies. Oh, I would eat like a dozen of these and then be sick tomorrow, but it would be worth it. The softer cake texture ones you're more okay with? Yeah. That's usually, the fresher they are, the softer they are, and they'll harden over time. But yeah. Yeah, like top tier cookies, I would say not quite, but not the crunchy one. Okay, yeah. Not quite like cake texture, a little more than that. Almost the texture of like a dense bread, texture wise. Still much rather have, yeah, that's That's not fair. Of course, rather have a chocolate chip cookie. But some nice soft cookie, doesn't have crunch to it, but cream cheese frosting on top. Mm-hmm. Chocolate chip oatmeal cookies. Is that so you feel like you're eating something healthy? No. It's got oatmeal in it. It's got to be healthy, right? Not for the health, for the texture. Yeah. Yeah, it can give it a bit of a different texture. Um, One texture thing I found in a snack that I really liked was someone made Buckeyes, which are like circles of peanut butter covered mostly in chocolate, but someone added Rice Krispies to them, so they just gave them like a crunchy texture inside of them, and it came out really good. With a pound of butter and 2 cups of sugar, yeah, definitely not healthy. Oatmeal cookies for when you want to be sad. Yeah, I feel like that's more the oatmeal raisin. Like, I'll eat one of those if, like, it's the only option. Otherwise, like, nah. And the main catering place for my work, for any time we have bigger gatherings, they'll do like a cookie spread, and they'll have like one row of chocolate chip, one row of like double chocolate chip, and then a row of like oatmeal raisin. At the end of the event, like the oatmeal raisin's all that's left. Only time you're eating oatmeal raisin is if I mistake it. Yeah, that too. Yeah, you take a bite into it and you're like, ooh, mistakes were made. Immediately spit out. Ah, yep. This is what happens when a food and drink streamer pops in. Yeah. Yeah, I used to stream some of my meal prep stuff. That was always fun. You like what you like, and you're very opinionated about it. Oh, you like? Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while. I just I've settled on like a handful of recipes. Yeah, Fitty used to be cool. Um, and so I just tend to just rotate through them, and don't do much new stuff lately. But who knows? Maybe. I'm used to Rad. He's always put me down. Ugh. Hmm. Sorry. In Sage, calling someone else out for being harsh against me is, you know what I'm talking about, Sage. Don't bring up old combos. Alright, alright, I won't bring it up. Sage said I didn't have any friends, but she only did it once. It's not that big of a deal. Yes, yes, you do still show up. I appreciate you, Sage. You don't have friends one time. That one time is still going. Yeah. I always say at the end of streams, but I do appreciate everyone who shows up and hangs out in stream. So even if you give me a hard time, I appreciate all of you. Alright, I'm gonna get back to the story stuff because I want to try to get through the end of this sequence before I call stream for the night. So we got about 20 minutes left. So we'll see if we can get through this. I think this section is probably pretty decent. Um, but yeah, I just want to try to finish up getting through it. So we got Margaret showing up with her new face to talk to Bryn. I do want, once Bryn figures out who Margaret really is, that we need to see Bryn and Margaret have known each other for a long time. Guess and see that, yeah. Then we get to Bryn asks Margaret why she's really there. Margaret tells her she wasn't lying. She saw something impossible. Yes. Bryn asks her who she saw. Margaret tells her. Yes. Margaret asks. Okay. Yeah. So Bryn starts to ask questions, finds out that Margaret was ill and being treated by the medicine person. But Margaret has to find out the truth. So yeah, we can have that just be, because Bryn's specialization is a seer, I think just contact would be enough for her to be able to see something. Alright, so Bryn gives in, agrees to help Margaret. So there's going to be a ritual. Bryn uses the tavern to hide ingredients for magics. Alright. Um, so Bryn's gonna lead Margaret to a back room for more privacy. And then we see the flashes, some of the moments from the colonial settlement. In her with the tribe. And ultimately, confirmation that Margaret saw Helene. So do we want to foreshadow anything? I don't know that we need to. So we can get rid of that stuff. Might change our mind later, but for now... Main thing is just, yeah. Bryn needs to confirm to Margaret that she actually saw Helene. Helene is still alive. But Margaret is still... doesn't realize what's happening, but Bryn, being a seer, she already knows, and leads Margaret to the answer. And this is how Margaret finds out that Helene is a witch. Now, knowing this, Margaret has to find Helene. Bryn tells Margaret if she's alive, the hunters would be after her. So, yeah, Margaret has to find Helene, asks Bryn to help her find her. She has to bring up the hunters. So this does a couple of things. It tells us Bryn knows about the hunters, which later we know she's actually working with them. But it also brings up Margaret's fear of the hunters. So this causes Margaret to hesitate. And then Bryn continues to try to talk her down, following up, asking Margaret what she thinks would happen if Helene knew she ran away. So Margaret doesn't have any answers to this. She just knows, like, she has to find Helene, like, she thought she lost her. She now knows she's still alive. Like, she has to find her. That's the only mission she has.
I like this one.
Hi, hello. Thanks for the follow. Meow Lecky? Is that how you say it? If you want me to call you something else, please let me know. If just like Meow's okay. But hi, welcome in, and thanks again for the follow. Just Meow works? Okay, cool. Hi, hello, welcome in. We are working on our outline for our story. Trying to finish up this sequence. So then we have Bryn bringing up again that Margaret has changed her face, so even if Margaret found Helene, would Helene even recognize Margaret? And Margaret realizes maybe that's a good thing because of how their previous encounter ended, and that could allow her to start over. And if that's what she has to do to be with Helene again, that's what she's willing to do. But Bryn doesn't want to get involved with anything to do with the hunters. We think, probably in this moment, I want people to think that she feels the same way about them that Margaret does, that they need to be avoided. Um, but we'll find out later more of why. So, she doesn't really beg. So then Margaret asks Seer what she would do if she had a chance to find her lost love. Okay, so this goes back to Margaret and Bryn having a history. And Margaret uses that history to convince Bryn to help her. So, relenting, Bryn does a tracking spell. It requires Margaret to visualize Helene in her mind as clear as possible and give... Oh, okay. So how would this play out? So Bryn is able to locate Helene. Um, and Margaret... Alright, Major. Enjoy dinner and your time in Las Vegas. And I will talk to you later for sure. And we all appreciate and love you too. Alright, yeah, Bryn is able to locate Helene, gather enough information to get a location for where she is. Um, Bryn warns, tries to talk Margaret out of it. But Margaret is set on finding Helene. So Margaret heads off. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the end of the sequence. Between Margaret and Bryn, and Margaret setting off to try and find Jolene again. And I think that is going to be all we're going to get through tonight. So next time we will pick up with Margaret going after the location they found and things going badly when she gets there. But yeah, we'll pick that up next time. Today's Thursday, right? Major!
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me? Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
Thank you, Major. I fixed the alerts, so that it's gonna play
Hey, Peter Parker.
5 times,
You got something for me?
which I'm okay with, as long as it actually stops after the 5th time and doesn't keep going.
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
Was that 4 or 5?
Hey, Peter Parker. You got something for me?
I think that was 5. I think that was the last one. Hopefully it doesn't keep going, but we'll find out. Major. Thank you, Major. I appreciate you. Thank you for gifting 5 subs. That's right, Rad. Hey, it stopped after 5. It didn't keep going forever. Yeah, with Streamlabs, I found out that, like, you can only do certain stuff in the actual desktop app, and some of the stuff you have to go to their website to do more. So I figured out that on the website, for the subscriptions, they have different instances for gifted subs and resubs and all that stuff. So I just had to delete all of those so that any sub does the alert that I want. So yeah, got that fixed. And it doesn't play endlessly, so double win. Anyway, yeah, thank you, Major. You the best. Enjoy Vegas. Enjoy dinner. Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, I think that's it for stream for today. Let's see if there's anyone. Yeah, why not? There's a Rivals streamer that I follow who's live, but they're playing Arc Raiders and not Rivals. But yeah, we can go right over there. Yeah, thank you everyone who stopped by, hung out, chatted, lurked. We got a raid from Yunsu at the beginning of stream. That was a nice start off the stream. Got through a couple sequences today in our outline, and I will be back on Sunday at 3-ish Pacific, and we'll pick up and go through our next sequence. And then once we get through the rest of the outline, then we'll start the actual writing of the screenplay. And yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. Um, and thank you again, Major. You're the best. I appreciate you. And yeah, we will. Sorry, I'm bad at the end of stream stuff. Hey, Peter Parker, you got something for me? Yeah, exactly, Rad. Um, raid message? Oh. Oh, that for... Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to get that set up next time because it's about to go.
Hey, 54. Thanks for the raid. How was your stream?